Welcome back to Asterisk. Today, I'll show you how to create your very first flow in Asterisk. Perfect for beginners. In this tutorial, we'll use a fantasy kingdom theme, but you can apply the same steps to any world you want. Our goal is simple. We'll build a basic setup where the AI can keep track of each character's items and use that information in their dialogue. To make this happen, we'll create two agents. Let's get started. Click New Flow. Give it a name. I'll call mine Flavor and Steel. I picked this because I imagined a muffin kingdom where brave warriors fight to protect it. Add a new agent node, and I'll name it Scene Interpreter. Just pick your connected provider right here, then your agent's model is ready to roll. We're going to give it a system role message. This is where we tell the AI exactly what its job is. From the latest scene and brief history, extract any tangible items or resources that exist right now. Keep it clear, something like act as a guide. To make sure your AI remembers the conversation as it goes, you'll need to add a history message to the same agent. Think of it like giving your AI a memory. Without it, every reply would be as if the AI is meeting the character for the first time. I'm adding the variable turn.content to the description. This will automatically pull in the actual content or narrative from each turn in the roleplay sequence. Now, let's give it something important, an output. And I'm going to call this one item. Why? Because this is where we'll capture all the tangible items our characters discover in the scene. Leave the data type to string, since we want this in plain text. Remember, at this stage, we're not going into crazy details. We just need the basics, the name of the item, and the kind, like ingredient, weapon, armor, or quest item. Simple, right? And not every scene will have an item. So if nothing's found, we'll return an empty string. That way the flow stays clean and doesn't break. But for now, this item's output is like our inventory slot, ready to be filled. Next, we'll add the action planner. This agent takes the structured output from our scene interpreter, the list of items, and uses it to decide what the character will say in the story. If an item is being carried or used, the action planner will weave it naturally into the dialogue. This way, our characters always respond in a way that matches both the scene and the items they have. Now, we're going to add a system message to the action planner agent. This prompt makes sure only one specific character speaks each time. No extra lines from other characters, no narration, just their in-character voice. We are writing this prompt because sometimes when you let AI roleplay freely, it tries to write lines for both characters. That can break the flow of the scene. We're also going to pull in the variable we created earlier from the scene interpreter.items. This way, the action planner knows exactly which items the character is carrying or using at the moment. So like what I just did, outputs made earlier can be reused as inputs anytime. We can tell the AI, if the character is holding something, include a short tag like carried sword. That means while the dialogue plays out, the audience can also see what's in the character's hands without breaking immersion. So this system message has two jobs. Keep the focus on one character's dialogue. And before we move on, don't forget this step. We also need to add a history message to this agent. So in the description, I'm dropping in turn.content. Trust me, this tiny step makes a huge difference. All right, now let's add the output for our action planner. It's about item snippet. We're also going to pull in the variable we created earlier from the last agent, scene interpreter.items. This way, the action planner knows exactly which items the character is carrying or using at the moment. With that info, we can tell the AI if the character is holding something, include a short tag like carried sword. That means while the dialogue plays out, the audience can also see what's in the character's hands without breaking immersion. Let's add one more important output. Here's the thing. I personally find roleplays way more fun when the characters are actually talking to each other, instead of drowning in long narrator paragraphs. So, for this output, I'm keeping it simple. About 70% pure dialogue and just a sprinkle, maybe 30%, of scene flavor if it's really needed. And I don't want the AI to go on forever either. That's why I'm setting the dialogue length to natural, just enough to feel real, but short enough to keep the pace snappy. This way, the conversation stays lively, and the flow always feels like it's moving forward. Alright, let's spice things up with a parameter. There are lots of parameters you can tweak, but today, we're keeping it simple. We're talking about temperature. Baseline? That's one. For our scene interpreter, we want it solid and predictable. It's the one scanning the scene and pulling out the right items. So let's keep it grounded with a lower temperature, say 0.7. But for the action planner, we want more creativity. This agent is driving the character's dialogue, their energy, their roleplay. So let's turn the dial up. 1.5 feels just right. And boom. Now each agent has its own personality. Now connect them. Now we're in the response design step, where you shape how your character talks by combining system variables and earlier outputs into the final reply. I want the player to instantly know who is speaking, so first I'm dropping in the character's name. Next, I'm pulling in the action planner's dialogue. This is the in-character line we crafted earlier, with all the personality and flair. And finally, I'm adding the item snippet. This tells us if the character is carrying something right now, just like in an RPG. Alright, we've set up response design. Let's run a validation check. Validation is like a final exam for your flow. Make sure nothing's broken or mismatched. Hit that validation button up top, and boom. You see that sweet green check mark? That means your flow passed inspection. If something's off, you'll see a clear warning. If it's a warning, the inference will still run, but it's pointing out issues worth checking to make sure you get the best roleplay experience. If it's an error, that means the inference won't run at all. You'll need to fix it before moving on. Now our flow is ready. Let's spin up a session and see it in action. Oh, nice! Looks like Salty's carrying boots. That's pretty cute. What about Barry? Let's check. Oh wow, Barry's got boots too. But trudging through all this mud with just boots? Yeah, that's not gonna cut it. And the cool part is, since we already created a session, we can now preview how it looks in the code preview. Without session data, it's just showing the flow structure we built. But once you link it to a session, you'll see all that session data pop right in. So yeah, this means you can switch back and forth between your flow and your session, tweak things as you go, and keep playing while refining. Watch this, I'll just type in that I've got a magic muffin. And boom! Now Salty also recognizes the muffin in play. That's the fun part. The characters react dynamically to the stuff you bring into the story. Honestly, this is where it gets addictive. You're not just role-playing, you're building the adventure as you go. Now, looking at this character's reply, you can see exactly what the response design does. It pulled in the character's name, the action planner dialogue, and even the carried item snippet. That's the point. When you design the response, think about how you want it to come out in the final reply, and build your template around that. And that's it. You've just built your first flow in Asterisk. Until next time, happy building!